Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Wanja. I'm the founder of ENB Consult. Once in a while, we usually have webinars where we have a guest, and today's guest is Ngechi. Essentially, most of our guests, they share their story, their journey into Australia and their experiences in the country and during their studies and life after and before their studies. So we'll let Ngechi share her story, and then we'll receive any questions that you might have, and then we'll wrap up. All right, there we go. Ngechi, all yours.
Okay. Hi. I've never done this before, like meeting people this way to share a story. It feels very what word am I looking for? New to me, but it's okay. We'll make it work and we will enjoy. I'm going to put gallery so that I can see, at least I can see the names of the people I'm talking to, if not their faces. So my name is Ngechi, and Miriam is my name, and Gishomo is my name. How many years old in Australia now? I came in Australia in 2005 for the first time in July of 2005. And I have been here on and off from then, studying, working, now married, and yeah, just doing the life that needs to be done here. At the beginning, when I came to Australia, I didn't really have a choice. It was more of, when your dad says, okay, I'm paying school fees for you to go here, and you have no option but to go there. You can't, decide any other way. So that's what happened to me. I couldn't say that I chose to come to Australia. Dad chose that I come to Australia because my two other siblings were here already. So I was just following the path. And when I came, I remember he wanted me to study accounting, which was what a lot of people were studying. And if you're not studying accounting, you are studying nursing. So it was either or. And me, I was not for either or, because I genuinely did not want to study something that I know I'm going to struggle with or is not in my passion. So I think I can hear an echo. Anyway, you're on mute. Yeah, I think she's put mute, so it's good. So anyway, yes. So I joined. I came. I told Dad I don't want to do accounting or nursing, so I ended up doing mass communication, which, according to everybody in the world at the time here in Australia, was the worst decision I could have done because it's not marketable here. So it would be a waste of time and whatnot. And I was like, it's okay, I'm just going to push through. So that's what I did. So I did mass communication, majored in journalism and public relations. And then after 4 years, I went back home. I didn't even bother trying to apply for PR or apply for graduate visa. I just thought to myself, nah, I'm not gonna stress myself. I know already it's gonna be a struggle, so let me just go home. So I went back home and then started working at home, worked in different companies, and then I came back again. Now in 2015, I came back to visit my siblings because they were still here. And then when I came back to visit them, I was like, okay, I think I can start the journey again to come back. So started the process again. 2016, I came back again, applied to school to do a master's now because I can't go back and do an undergrad. So I just had to find the next best option. I had already done an MBA at the time, but there was that thing for I can't do, unless I'm doing another master's, I have to go PhD level. So I ended up doing a research so that I can come back and come back with something that is still valuable to me. So I ended up doing a master's by research, and here we are. I did my master's by research in 2018, 2019, finished in 2020, graduated last year Yeah, I graduated last year in February. I've always wanted a summer graduation. So thank God it turned out that I could be able to graduate in summer, because of course there was the whole, they do the whole big thing, the fireworks and whatnot. We are outside, it's warm, the joy. I really, really loved the function. I loved the fireworks. So it worked for me. Thank God for that. And then, yeah, started working. I applied for a job before I graduated. I was fortunate to get a job in the comms and marketing field then, and started that job. And then I stopped that one, moved to Sydney, and here we are. I'm now living in Sydney and working still in marketing and communications. And yeah, Wanja, I don't know if I've said everything I needed to say, but that's how my journey to Australia started, and that is how we ended up here, or I ended up here.
I believe more. Mario. Marion, I think we have an issue whenever Marion is logging in and out. Kindly leave your microphones muted. That way we don't have that echo that we keep hearing. So if the audience have their microphone unmuted, then it's gonna have some distraction. But for now, we're all good, we're all good. Ngechi, thank you so much. That was personal, and I appreciate you sharing your personal story in it, not just your academic journey, like how you had to go home, find a job, then come back. Just to highlight on it, which university did you do your bachelor's degree, and which university did you do your master's, and why did you choose these universities for either of the courses?
Oh, yeah, I forgot you had asked me what those other questions. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, so
no worries.
I did both my bachelor's and master's at Curtin. I didn't even look at other options. And the reason I did when I came for my undergrad, like I said, my sister's already here. Curtin was the uni that they were going to. So I didn't look or struggle to find another uni. I just went with what was available. For my master's, I did try to see what other options were there. So here's the thing. When I was doing my undergrad, my father was able to pay. So he was paying our school fees then. When I came in to do my master's, I had to do it by myself. I had to pay school fees by myself. So then I was keen on trying to see, can I get another option that is cheaper for me? But then the problem with doing a research course is you have to go where you'll have supervisors to supervise your research. Otherwise, you can't just apply anywhere. So unfortunately for me, or maybe fortunately because I ended up in the same uni, the supervisors that were available to take up my research study were in Curtin. So I had to go to Curtin, because what happened is when I'm applying for my student visa, one of the requirements if you're coming to do a research course is to get that confirmation from a supervisor that they're going to supervise your uni. So I couldn't play around with that because I had to go with the person that has accepted to supervise my research. So this guy was in Curtin. So that's how I ended up in Curtin. If I had an option, I probably wouldn't have chosen Curtin because it was very expensive. But then I've realized, or I came to realize, that even the other guys who were doing masters in some other unis, ECU, and actually it's only ECU that I knew at the time, both of them were still competing in terms of school fees. So it was still slightly on this, ECU was slightly cheaper, but we were not so far apart in terms of costs. So that comforted me. Then I was like, it's okay, I'll just finish here. And yeah, I talked about paying school fees. That was, I think, the beginning of the hard knock life for me, because paying school fees in Australia, as much as we want to say that it is possible, which it is very hard, because you're not getting support financially from anywhere else. You have to do this thing on your own. And for me, the struggle was in studying and working, and research was a very time-consuming course. It was, I couldn't just skip classes. When I was doing my undergrad, it was easier. I could play around with classes. I could miss, a class here and a class there for, an extra shift and stuff like that. But for my research, because there was a certain amount of work that I had to produce at the end of every fortnight, it was very hard to just, I didn't even go to class, but just the amount of research that I needed to do required me to be so busy in terms of writing and doing my research work that it took even more time compared to my undergrad. So that became a big challenge when it came to looking for school fees, because I'm trying to balance school and work, and I cannot miss either, because I need to work to pay my school. And I have to study because that's what my visa is on. I couldn't decide today I'm not going to study. They're going to report me to immigration and I'll be out of here. So that was quite the challenge. I remember I would cry some days because I'm so exhausted. I chose to do jobs that would allow me to do night shift in the nursing home or disability, so that I can, instead of sleeping, or instead of moving around trying to, help someone in the nursing home, if I can sit at my desk and just answer call bells, I have time to do whatever I need to do with my research. So it was hard. It wasn't easy, but I remember one time at the beginning when I was here mopping and crying and thinking, oh God, I don't know what I put myself through. One of the ladies, a friend of mine, she was like, man, you know what? I know you're struggling and I'm not taking away your struggle, but you have to toughen up, because first of all, we've all been here. And second of all, you're learning to be resilient, so push on. I remember when she said that, I went back and I looked at the meaning of resilient for myself. There you're told things and you're like, what the heck? I read
What does
that
it even mean?
Just that you remain strong and you can push through. And it really, at that time, I remember thinking, I don't know if I want to be resilient. I don't know. I don't think it's for me. Lucky are they who are able to come back out of it and say, I came out of here resilient. Me, I was like, no, I can just go back. No, I don't need this. I don't need this. But because you know what you want at the end of the day, you push through. So that's what I did. I struggled. It did not take away my struggles, but I remember every time I'd say, she was called Rhoda. I'd always say, Rhoda said, I'm learning to be resilient. Let me work with that. Let me push myself from that angle. And I did that, and I kept going, and through prayers and a lot of encouragement on the days when I was feeling like I cannot, I pushed through and I finished. But it wasn't an easy task. I don't think it could ever get easier, but you have to have that motivation to keep going. And that's what I guess pushed me.
Yes. Well, yeah, I totally understand what you mean, because research, at some point in my research life, I had to take a break. Like, I can't do this anymore. I totally understand how it felt, how you struggle with managing time between work and your supervisor is on your case,
I know.
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned that you had to learn something like time management, particularly in your undergrad, so that you're able to go to class at the same time work. What kind of jobs were you able to do during your undergraduate, like bachelor's? And was it easy to get those jobs?
So back then in 2005, they were not very strict with getting jobs. It was, you could get any job. Even now, you can still get any job if you want. It's just the kind of job that you're looking for the money that you need, because you're not just working for the sake of working. You want to work your 8 hours and you're being paid a good amount of money so you can save. So back then it wasn't hard. I remember we didn't have to do certificate 3. I still did nursing home. In fact, then nursing home was paying more than disability. So I did my nursing home job then, caring. I was a carer. And how I managed it again, I was doing night shifts, but this time round, because I had classes, I would go to class. Sometimes I would finish work at 7, go home and sleep for like 2 hours, and then jump on the bus or drive to school because I have a class that I can't miss. And because at the time, I think even now, I don't think you can miss 80%. You can miss more than 80% of your school, or sorry, I'm getting it wrong. You have to attend 80% of class. So you can't miss too many classes. You could miss, maybe in a semester, you could miss at most 2. 3, I think you're stretching it. If you're missing the 3rd one, you better be scoring high so that no one is asking you questions. And it's not that they would come to you and tell you, oh, you've missed a class or whatever. It was just that they would take attendance, and that's how they would use it to determine whether you're coming to class or not and whether you're doing well or not. So even then, they would still do that. So I couldn't miss class. And sometimes I would go to class so sleepy because I've come from a night shift, but I have to attend a class. And then I run home. You don't even have time to socialize. You go home, you sleep because you have another night shift, and you still have to go to work. But the beauty of doing the night shifts at the nursing home or the disability houses was it's quiet. It's not as busy for the staff member because most people are asleep. You'd have maybe 4 or 5 people who are waking up, or they're ringing the bell for whatever reason, but the majority of the people would be asleep. So that's why you'd find a lot of students even now prefer doing the disability and the nursing home jobs because of that, because you get a chance to stay awake and do your schoolwork because not so many people need your help at night. Some of my male friends would do factory jobs. Those ones are hard. You would do them, you'd get very good money, but they were harder because you're standing, you're in the cold. Sometimes you'd find you're probably peeling onions the whole night or separating fish, cold fish, and it's frozen, it's at night. But because you need the job, you just have to do what you have to do. And it was, for men, it wasn't such a big deal. I used to find men used to be like, I've got to do this. I don't have an option because they don't want to do nursing home. So they would go and do factory jobs, but they would still get the money. We wouldn't be in the same level in terms of the money. And that's the important thing. I always remind people, always focus on ensuring that whatever job you pick, as much as there are many, you can do cleaning jobs, you can do waitressing, but you have to ask yourself what the end goal is. Am I doing this just for the sake of working, or am I looking for money, substantial money that will help me pay my school fees? And the reality is most of us, as you know, you'd find most Africans are paying their own school fees. And I think that was the lesson that I learned the hard way when I was doing my research. Most Africans are paying their school fees, and you don't have time to waste doing a job that is not going to get you where you need to go in terms of money, because you're here for money. And not only are you paying your own school fees, you're still supporting people at home. Exactly. I remember one of my colleagues at a disability house that I was working in, I really felt like crying for him. So we are there, he's just come to Australia. I think he could have been maybe 3 or 4 months old, and he was working in the house that I was working in for training purposes. So most disability house, you'll find you're working by yourself most times. That's why you can, play around with your time, because there's no drama for someone coming to watch you and whatnot. But sometimes you'd have to teach others who are doing their practice so that they can also start working in the same field. So this guy was stationed at our nursing, at the house I was working in, and he came and he didn't have a car, so he would come very early, like shift starts at 7, but he would be there by like 6:30 because he has to catch a bus, and the only one that he could get would get him there at 6:30. So he's already 30 minutes early, and he needs to be there until 4 p.m. And then one time we were just there working, and he got a call from home, and his mom was unwell, and the mom had passed away. And I don't know, I just felt like I could cry for this man. You know that you look at God and you're like, it is already so hard. Like I remember I used to encourage him, and I'm like, don't worry, you'll get there. You'll get you'll be able to get a car. Don't be discouraged. Just practice. Let's finish your time. I'll give a good review, because you could also help. You give a good review, and the company that you're working with take them in as permanent staff. So I would tell him, don't worry, I'll give you a good review. Just hang in there. But that day I saw what brokenness looks like, because that man, he was much older than I was. He had found an opportunity to come to Australia. He was doing accounting. I remember he had come to do his master's, but that call from home that his mom had passed away really broke him. I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, can it get any harder? And now he was like, he has to send money home. So he has no time to go into mourning. He still had to come the following day and the day after, because he has to work. He needs to send money home. He wasn't even thinking of going home. For him, it was, let me send money home so that mom can be given a decent burial. So those are the things that sometimes you think and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know. I don't know. But yeah, it's a tough life. It's a tough life, but it's doable.
Yes, I agree with you. I think it is possible for someone to work in Australia and be able to balance their time, balance their work, study, life kind of time management, and they can actually afford to pay for themselves. But unfortunately, you have to show that you can afford it before you leave the country. During your visa application, they need to see your bank statement, or at least have a sponsor, and this sponsor has to write a letter. So getting into the country is the biggest issue for essentially, bottom line is the Australian government wants to know that you're not going to sleep on the street, you're not going to sleep hungry, and you're not going to be kicked out of the university if you don't have your tuition fee paid.
Yeah.
Now, a quick question, if you don't mind sharing with us, how much was it for your master's degree in regards to annually, and how long did you do it for?
So the cost was 34,000 per year, 34,000 Australian dollars, and per semester it was 17,000. I only had 4 semesters because it's a research course, so that was coming
2 years,
to what? 2 years, so
68,000.
68,000 for the 2 years. And like you said, I had to show bank statements, and it's a struggle, man. It's a struggle. You're showing your bank statements, you're getting your visa, but when you get on the ground, that money that
the
you
money is going
is
to
not your
somebody
money.
else.
But it was 17,000 per semester. For me, it was just 2 semesters. But I know that for undergraduate students at the moment, some are looking at 14,000. For the most expensive ones, the engineering, medicines, we are talking about the same price, could be 17,000 as well. For the business courses and which other course? Maybe like humanities, like what I did in my undergrad, mass comm and whatever, it could be maybe 12,000, 30,000, but I'm not too sure. That's the average right now that people are paying. Yeah.
So essentially, if someone wants to come and study in Australia to do a master's degree, it would be more than 30,000, roughly, depending on the university. A year.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's a good one. And that's the first question. The second question I have: why did you choose a master's of research and not a master's of coursework?
Because I had already done an MBA prior. Like I did an MBA after I finished my undergrad, and what they do, these guys are very what word am I looking for? They're so alert. You can't. So I did a master's. I could have easily picked another master's, but I would have to explain why I'm doing another master's and not going above whatever level of degree I already have. So because I already had an MBA, the next option was, what's the next step up that will not give me trouble, because you have to explain, you know, they always tell you have to write that letter, that statement
SOP.
to say, yeah, why you're coming and why you're choosing the course you're choosing and whatnot. So I had to pick a course that will allow me to get my student visa without having to explain too many things. So the master's by research was the next option to a master's after doing the coursework, because I'd already done the MBA before. So hence why I picked it. Yeah, or I do a PhD, but no, my gosh, yeah. I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Good. What would you say was your highlight in your Masters of Research, other than the graduation date, of course?
That so was the highlight. No,
yes.
No, I think for me, my highlight was, and it still is a highlight every time I get an email, or mostly it's emails from people who are quoting me with my research, because I had to submit my research to the library, to the university library. So it's stored there. But then it means if someone is looking for information that is included in my research work, they can quote me. And some people actually email, because you leave your email there, and the university gives us the emails. Like they say, as a research student, your email will be with you forever. I don't know why, but anyway, maybe it's because of these times, because when someone needs to reach you to talk about your research, then they use that email address that you put in your research, in the work that you did. So my highlight is normally when people send me messages and they're like, oh, I loved your research. Oh, congratulations. Oh, you're a Kenyan. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Because it's encouragement for people. And even when I was studying, anytime I would find a research that has an African's name, I would go, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an African and they're doing their PhD in this, what the heck? And then I'm like, I'm going to send them a message and say, oh, congratulations on whatever you're doing and whatnot. So it's exciting. That for me is a highlight, because the days of crying get wiped out when someone comes and tells you, well done, you've done so well, I'm proud of you, or I copied this, or wow, I've quoted you here. It's, for me, those are the highlights. Also the graduation, of course, the graduation. I would have loved my parents to be here, but COVID could not. So it was still nice that I still went for graduation. But yeah, it's those moments. And when I remember when I finished and my supervisors sent me emails saying congratulations, because now officially the university tells you you've finished, and they explain to you that you will be graduating, and because you're a research student, the vice chancellor is the one who will give you the award, which is different when you're an undergrad, or just doing a normal master's, because you're given the awards by your dean of schools or whatever. So
Marion again. Marion, please mute yourself, but I'm going to try to mute you from here. I have muted you, so it's so good. Yeah.
So just getting that, the congratulations from my supervisors and from the random people whom I don't know but reach out and say something. It feels good.
Yeah. Congratulations, like you made it. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So it's 6:30, so we'll thank you so much for actually showing up and sharing your story with us. And now I'll leave the guest, I'll unmute the guest. If you have any questions, please unmute yourself and go ahead and ask the question. And then after we ask any questions to our guests, if you have any questions regarding ENB Consult and our services, then we'll be able to answer that too. So anyone with a question? Yes, no? Anyone? All right. If you have a question and you can't use your microphone, you can also type in the chat. So just type in the chat if you have any question or any reaction towards today's story.
Okay, I do have a question.
Yes,
okay, my name is
Brenda.
Yes. I've just graduated recently with my undergrad, and my question is to Miriam. I'm asking, how easy was it going to Australia to do your to go study there, especially the process of applying for a passport, a visa, and everything? How easy was it, or how hard was it? And yeah, basically just take us through all the steps that you were able to go through in order to go there. Yeah, that's the question.
Thank you so much, Brenda. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Brenda. That's a very good question. Very, very good, actually. Because the process it's a very straightforward process, but you can miss out on enjoying the straightforwardness if you don't have all your details in order. So for me, I'll take you back to the course that I was doing. The Masters by Research needed me to, first of all, write what do you call it, a proposal about about what I'm coming to study, and then use that proposal to get supervisors. So what I did is I went online. I had a notebook. By the way, guys, it's not a joke. Take a notebook, write down the universities that are in Australia where you want to go. If you want to go to a specific state, find all the universities in the specific state you want to go. Or if you're looking to just go anywhere, you can write all the schools down. That's what I did. That's where I started. I had my research proposal, and then I wrote down all the universities that I felt that I wanted to go to. And then I went into those universities and checked if I could find a supervisor. So for anyone doing research, when you're looking for a supervisor, it's very simple. You just go to the website of the university. Most universities have it very straightforward. You go to their website, type out you go look for the research page, and then type out whatever course you're looking, or type out supervisors, and it's very straightforward. And then you can look at the supervisors against the course that you want to study and see who's available to that you can email, and they have their emails there, and most of them respond. So you get their emails, email them, give them a proposal, tell them what you want to study, and then they will respond whether they are able to. Some of them, most supervisors will know if they can take on a load of a new addition with research, or they can't, and some will even give you direction on how to go about it, or who they think you should approach if they think that they are available and stuff. So that's what I did. So that was step number one. Once I was able to get confirmation by by my main supervisor that he was able to take me through my research, then I went to, at the time I was working with a different agent, not ENB Consult. Maybe next time. Anyway, but I went to a different agent. I went to a different agent, and I told them that I'm looking to study my research, and I have my confirmation from this supervisor. And then now they guided me on what to do. So when I went to them, they gave me all the details of what I need to do, which included doing my IELTS exam, and actually, at the time, that was the most important thing, doing my IELTS exam. So I did my IELTS exam. Once I had my results, came back with everything, and then they helped me through the process. So they did most of the work. They put in the form. They sent me back with the form to fill it. But they do the actual filling online for you. That's why you pay them. Then they did the filling for me, and then they told me when it was time for me to do my biometrics, because you have to do biometrics for you to get a visa. And they called me and told me, you can go now and do your biometrics, because they already, once they put in all my details online and they were given whatever, it's a receipt, or I don't know what they call it, the number they were given, then they told me I can go do my biometrics. Then I went to do my biometrics, and then I waited. After I did everything, they submitted everything, and I just waited. Part of the things that I had to produce, apart from the IELTS and the confirmation from the supervisor, was the bank statement. that bank statement thing is usually a big thing for those who are not able to get a bank statement from one person. But I know that most agents will guide you on who you can talk to or who you can contact. If you give them options, they will tell you who's a better option, who's not a good option, and things like that. So I always say let the agent guide you on that one, because they know who will be accepted and who will not. But they will always ask you for the, like Wanja said, they will ask you for the details of, they will want to see that you have enough money in that account that you're using as the bank statement to, that will essentially allow you to study and still live, because they will calculate expenses. So you're not just showing a bank statement with the school fees for the 2 years that you're coming to do your master's. You will need to show, in addition to the 2 years of study cost, also some amount that they will calculate. They calculate this amount, the agents, and then they tell you, you also need to show in addition that you have this amount of money that will be catering for your living expenses, because the way they will look at it is that you need to show that you can study and work, or study and still live if you're not able to work. So to them, working is not an option, because you may get a job, you may not get a job. So you have to show that you have money that can cover your stay in Australia for 2 years if you don't have to work. So, but the agent will guide you on what amount that will look like, and in addition to your school fees. I don't know if I've answered all her questions.
Yeah, I
Wanja,
think
you're on
you have.
mute.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Perfect. Just to summarize what Ngechi said, one, is it easy to get a passport? That was not addressed, but I'll try and address it. A passport is not hard to get. The problem is today getting a passport is a bit slower than it used to be because of the COVID. The people couldn't travel for 2 years, and then suddenly they can travel, and their passport have expired and all of that. So we have a lot of backlog with near your house. But the steps to be followed to get a passport are very straightforward, and it's not complicated at all. First. Secondly, in regards to admission to a university, whether it's taught or MRES, it's not complicated. It's time consuming, but it's not complex. It's very simple. Do you know what I mean? It's time consuming because you have to do your research, like Ngechi said, you have to find the supervisor, you have to find the ideal university, but that's where we are. That's what we are doing as a consultant or as any other agent other than ENB Consult. There is a question that came in that someone was asking, would it be possible to go to study if you only 1 semester's fee or money? No. They will not let you leave Kenya with 1 semester school fees. Impossible. They need to see the tuition fee for your first year, second year, so it's 2 years, plus you have to show your, like Ngechi said, you have to show your living cost, and living cost is about 20,000, approximately. 20,000 depending on which city you are in, one, if you have a spouse or you have dependent children or something like that, yeah? So essentially it's a no, you can't go with 1 semester, you have to show that you're able to pay for the rest of your period in Australia. Now, on top of that is, if you are able to show, for example, say you have an uncle, you have an aunt, you have your parents, and they can all contribute to say 1 account, and the money to sit there for a certain minimum period of time. For England, it was 4 weeks. I'm not sure about Australia yet, because we haven't done that process yet. So I think it's 28 working days. The money has to be sitting in your bank. So you could do that with your relatives or your family friends or something like that. And then when you leave, like Ngechi mentioned, all the money is transferred back to other people's accounts, as long as you have your first year tuition fee. The university will not issue the COE, which is confirmation of enrollment, if you haven't paid a certain amount. Some universities ask for 1 semester, other universities ask for 1 year. So you have to have cash for 1 year, and then the following year you work for it. How did you experience that with your certificate of enrollment, Ngechi?
Yeah, so it was like you said, yeah, I had to pay, but mine Curtin was only asking for a semester. So I only paid for the first semester and then showed that I could pay for the remaining semester plus the living expense that you talked about. I didn't even remember it was 20,000. The other thing I've also remembered is they expect you to pay for your medical
insurance. Yes.
Insurance, yeah.
Yes, you need to
so
have
that
the
was part of the course that the university expected that I had. I didn't choose what insurance I was using. They decided for me what insurance I was using. And the cost that I paid at the start of, in fact, that was part of the cost before I got my COE, that I paid my school fees and I paid for the insurance, the health insurance. So the university will have a health insurance that they use, and that's what they're going to give you details about. And so when I paid for that health insurance and the certificate and the school fees for that one semester, then I received my COE. But the beauty about the health insurance that I paid for is it lasted me for my whole period of study. So I never had to pay for health insurance for the 2 years when I finished, when I studied. When I finished, I had to get another, I had to start paying for myself monthly, which was even higher. So it was a bargain that I went that route, or it's a bargain that you go that route as a student, because you go to uni, they have clinics. Most unis have their clinics there. So you just go there, you see a doctor. Most times you don't have to pay for anything. If at most if they would need you to pay for something, it could be like $20, not as expensive, but you're not worried about paying for health insurance while you're here for that period of study. So you only get to start paying again your health insurance after you've finished. So yeah, I thought it was a bargain. Because what I pay right now, damn, I wish I didn't have to. So yeah. Oof. How long, Monica, I'm going to read your question. How long can it take for one to get a job upon arrival? Is it hard or easy to get it? For that first question,
it depends.
It depends. It is not it's not a straightforward process as you think. I would say give yourself about 3 months to find a job, because you need to know where you're going. You need to know what jobs are available around where you're staying or in a place where you can access. You need to look for a job that is in the area that you're interested in. There's so many things to consider. So it's just not as simple as I'm going to land and I'm get a job tomorrow. I would say give yourself at least 3 months. If you can come with money that can cater for you for those 3 months while you're waiting to find a job, it would be an addition, like an added advantage for you, because you won't need to worry at least for 3 months until you get the job. Is it easy or hard to get it? It's not, I don't like saying it's hard to get a job. I think because most jobs are very straightforward, as is many other things in Australia. If you're looking for a cleaning job, you just need to show in your CV that you've done cleaning. And that's not it's not a hard thing to show, because you can just, I mean, we ask guys, yeah, we used to create stories, even if you've not done the most. When you're in, back in Kenya, you create a story that will work for you, and you give references that will back up your story. So then it's not so hard. If you're looking for these jobs that factory jobs, I don't even think you need to have any certificate. It's also a matter of creating your story. And then with the health jobs, you need a certificate. And that is, you could come with, I don't know, Wanja, maybe you can help me here. I don't know if it's possible to come with a certificate from Kenya, a certificate 3 to show.
You're muted, sorry.
Oh, it said you muted me.
Sorry. It was my bad. It was my bad.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you can get a certificate 3 from Kenya, or you would need to come to Australia and get the Sat3. I'm not quite sure, but if you can get it from Kenya, I think it is an added advantage. But if you can't, you'd have to come here, get a Sat3 or certificate 4 to allow you to work in the healthcare departments if you're doing caring or the likes. Secondly, I've gotten an offer in Brisbane. Would you give a review of the city in terms of affordability, availability of jobs? No, maybe Wanja can give you that one. I don't know.
All right, I will try to address these questions again, just to give my take and where is the question. Just okay. So, how long can it take for one to get a job upon arrival? I recommend, if you're 100% sure and you've started your visa processes and you're sure you're coming to Australia, go to jobs sites, www.seek.com. Indeed, we can share those links here. If you go to the job site, for example, you've been given a job offer at Macquarie University. Before you leave Kenya, check on Seek the jobs that are available there. Drop a message to them, tell them, oh, I'll be in Macquarie University starting this and this date. If the position is still available, could I contact you? That way, when you're already you hit the ground running, you already have 4 or 5 employers who know your availability. You know what I mean? So that's one. The second thing I wanted to say about finding a job, again, you find the area that you're going to go, say Macquarie University, look around for the jobs that are available there, contact the employers, tell them that you are not in the country, but you'll be coming into Macquarie University. When you arrive, could you give them a call? That way you already have created a network when you arrive. The fourth thing is, if you're sure you're going to come, you can start studying, say, certificate 3. If you decide you want to do, say, a health-related course, you can go online and do some online courses for whichever job that you're preparing to do. So before you arrive the country, you've already done the course. Maybe you just need to do some assessments or something like that. So you don't spend a whole year doing a certificate that is going to benefit you the second year. Yet you could have done that course back home since it's online. And then when you arrive, you can be able to do the assessment. And
That's
then
a good idea.
Yeah, so you hit the ground running, you know. The other thing is about Brisbane. Brisbane, the living cost of Brisbane and Cairns is relatively lower than Sydney, one. Secondly, both cities, they have some sort of touristic kind of a thing. So if you're interested in hospitality, you can easily get jobs in hospitality in both cities. The advantage of these cities with hospitality industry is you don't have hours cut today, but we don't know when you come if they would change from working 20 hours per week, 40 hours fortnight, 40 hours every 2 weeks. So we don't know when you arrive if the regulations will have changed. Everything keeps changing. Then another thing is so I've given a review on that. Approximately how much would you need for a nursing course? So if it's an undergraduate course, say 20,000 relatively a year, 2024, because it's about 14 per semester times 228. So between 20 to 30,000 a year. So if the course is 3 years, that's about 60K. But I'll say something about nursing. By the end of your first semester as a nursing student, you have a job. Yeah. I assure you, regardless of what city you're going to go. If you go to Sydney, which is one of the most expensive cities, or you decide to go to the middle of the desert in Australia, you're going to get a job within your first semester. Like, I can almost bet on it, because there's a shortage of medical staff. So if you choose to do medical related courses, then you're on the right track.
And I can add on that one.
Yes.
When you're doing your tax returns, if you do a job, if you're doing an odd job in your area of study. So say you decide you're doing nursing and you start working as a carer in a nursing home, you can claim back some money for your school fees when you're doing your tax returns, because you're studying you're working in your area of study. So it's always an advantage to find a job in your area of study. If you're doing hospitality, go look for jobs in the restaurants and whatever, and then use that opportunity to claim back some money. They don't give you your whole school fees, but you can claim back some money because you've used money for work, you know, and you're studying. Like it gives you an advantage. So yeah, think hard when you're choosing a job. If you can get a job in your area of study, it's a benefit when your tax returns time comes.
I think there's a very common question, which is what is the minimum amount that you need in your bank account before you, like, at the beginning of your journey? So let's say in your case, during your master's degree, what was the exact minimum required amount for you?
The minimum amount, I don't know if there's a minimum amount. I think what they want to see in your account is what, I'm assuming we're talking about your bank statement, because that's the account they're looking at. So it's the bank statement that you provide, and they will tell you that you need to have the rest of the amount. So like I said, you're paying your school fees before you get your confirmation of enrollment letter. So they will charge you, they will calculate your amount from second semester to when you're finishing. So if for me, for example, my research course was 2 years, so I needed to show an amount that was from second semester of my first year to the end of my second semester of the second year. And there was no story of a minimum, because they ask that they want the amount that they're looking for is the amount they want to see. If you have more, it's a blessing, but if you have less, you're not giving them what they're asking. So if, for example, for me, my semester was 17,000, my cost was 17,000 per semester. So I had to show 34 plus 17. How much is that? 51,000.
51,000.
Yeah, and then on top of that, living costs, which is 20,000. So that's 71,000. And then, yeah, I had to show that amount in the account, regardless of whether it is going to come to me or not. That's what they need to see in the bank statement. That's what you show. You can't show less than that, because then you're not showing the whole amount that they're asking for. Yeah, I think.
Yes, I think that's pretty clear. And then there's another question: is living expenses expensive? That is one that can be answered in two parts. The first part is the government needs 20,000 in your account for every year you're in the country. That's your living cost. So that's for the bank statement. Now, in real life, Vitukwa ground is approximately totally different. Approximately $200 a week. Would you say that?
Yeah, no, well, I would say 300, because I'm thinking transport as well. And the bus, depending on where you are, like if you don't come to Sydney, man, Sydney is bloody expensive. The bus costs, when I'm going to the
$5
city,
one trip.
I know, one trip, and for me it's $6.40 one trip, just going to the city. I haven't even come back. I have not catered for the following day and the day after. By the time they take out money from my account in a week, they're taking up to 100. So it's just ridiculously expensive. I would say 150, 300 per fortnight. That would be, I don't even know.
Fortnight. But also, so every month 600.
Also, there's a discount.
Would you say 600
for students.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Maybe.
Yes?
But I was going to say also there's discounts for students. If you're a student, you're not going to pay the same amount of money that I'm paying as a work whatever profession. So there's that bit. So I would say, yeah, could be 600
per month.
600 could work. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I think if you have
600 per month.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
So if you have 600, sorry again. If you have 600 per month, that means hakuna entertainment. It's just enough. It's not more than enough. It's just enough, because that's 150 a week, 300 a fortnight. You're like really like spreading it thin, it super thin. So six times 5, about, yeah, I would say 600 per month. Then I think we answered how is accommodation like? Is it
there's someone who's direct.
Sorry,
there was someone who direct messaged me. Mike sent a message to me directly. Let me just read it so we don't skip it. Can you advise for my master one that can guarantee me to live and work in Aussie? I think he means he has a Bachelor of Library and Information Science. I hope I got it right, Mike. He has a Bachelor of Library and Information Science, and he's looking for advice on a master's course that he can do that could guarantee that he will live and work in Aussie. Mike, my advice to you would be you go on the immigration page and look at, there's a, what's the do you know it often?
IMMI.gov.
Yeah, IMMI.gov.au. Go there and check skills. Look at the skills page for work, because skills, when you look at that, you can look at what courses work for you in terms of living and working, because what they do there is they tell you which course they're looking for, because you know how Australia decides if you can get your permanent residence quicker or not, if they try and look for skills that they have a shortage in here in the country. So if for example, I don't know about library and information science, but you can go and check there and see if they have a shortage of that. If they do have a shortage of that, then you know that it will be easy for you to do it as a master's course and get your PR when you finish. But it's not, the thing with the skills page as well is there's no guarantee. Today they could be needing these skills, but tomorrow they don't. So it's hard to tell, but I would suggest if you can do a health course. They always need people for health. There you'll never feel like you're hanging. If you want to stay in your field of library and information science, just go to that page and check if they have it, if they need people for that particular skill. And if they don't, you can look at what they have available and see what is of interest to you that you think you can do. Because also studying and paying your own school fees and the whole drama with working and studying here in Australia is you need that motivation. So you don't want to do a course that you don't have motivation for, because when you feel tired, you will not have anywhere to get strength to encourage you to keep going. So don't just get a course for the sake of getting a course. If you're able, find a course that you're passionate about or that you think you will enjoy, that you can be motivated to keep going when things get tough, because things do get tough. I hope I answered your question, Mike. Is social work marketable? Why did you opt for master's by research and not coursework? Oh, hi, Monica. I did explain why I chose a master's by research. I had already had a different master's before. I had done an MBA, which was coursework. So when you're applying for the student visa, they usually check what level of degree you've reached and what course are you applying for. If you're applying for a degree that's lower, for example, let's say the way I was telling Mike about maybe choosing a health course, if you decide I'm going to do a health course and you would want to go back and do an undergraduate, they're not going to give you a visa because you're going backwards. You should be moving forward. So you want to get a course that is showing that you're progressing in your field, you're not going backwards. So that's why I ended up doing a master's by research and not coursework, because I already had a degree in a coursework. So the next option was either to do a master's by research or do a PhD. Is social work marketable? Very marketable. It would be an ideal course. So if you're thinking of doing social work, go for it. As a student in Australia, what's the maximum you can make in a month? Hey, you can make as much as you want to make as a student. You know, the beauty is right now they are not one just said it, they're not restricting students with in terms of your ability to work, or what am I looking for? The length of hours you can work. Usually before COVID, students could only work for 20 hours a week, 40 hours a fortnight during a semester. After when you've closed school, you could work unlimited hours. But now, because COVID came and they started lacking the skills that the people they need to do the works that they need people to do, they opened it up that the students who are in the country can now work unlimited hours. So if you can work unlimited hours, it means you can work as much as you want and you can make as much as you want. You could even, you know, the way Wanja was saying, you need 600 a month. You could even make up to 3,000 if you're smart with how you're working and pushing yourself as hard as you can. It's just a matter of which course are you doing, and is the government allowing for you to do unlimited hours. I know for health and hospitality, as Wanja said, you will be allowed to work unlimited hours, because right now they don't have people who can work for them. So they're taking advantage of the students who are in the country. So if you look for a job in that area, you could make as much as 3,000 if you want, if they don't tax it, that is. The amount made as a student, would you consider it as sustainable in terms of fee and bills? That's what some of us have, that's how some of us have paid our school fees or repaid our school fees. We used the money that we were working for as students to pay our school fees. So I would consider it as sustainable, but it just means you don't have a life for that period, and it's fine. If it's just for that short period until you finish school, just, you know, stay strong, finish school, and then get a life after. But you'll just have to work extra hard until, you know, you finish. Someone says, graduated as a mechanical engineer, I intend to do a master's in renewable energy. When applying for PR after master's, do I qualify as a mechanical engineer from Kenya?
I think I'm happy to address that because I'm in engineering. So first things first, if you have done a mechanical engineering in a university in Kenya, I'm not sure which university you did, and if they have signed, I don't recall the name, but it's an agreement between different countries approving the course that you did. So the first step is to see if there is an agreement between that university and international standards. If you are qualified, you can actually come into the country as a skilled laborer. So mechanical engineering today is one of those how do you say, lacking skill in the country, and therefore if you have working experience, you can come in as a worker rather than studying. That's one. Now, you want to do renewable engineering? Yes. Renewable energy? Yes, you can do it with a background in mechanical engineering. Easy. Now, the other thing is, if you want to do that, it depends if you want to do it as a coursework or as a master's of research. If you want to do it as a master's of research, that's straightforward. But if you want to do it as a coursework, it depends with different universities and their requirement in regards to application to admission. But I'm confident you can be able to do renewable energy, because mechanical engineering, renewable energy, there is a very close interrelation there. So the question was, graduated as a mechanical engineer, I intend to do a master's in renewable energy. When applying for PR after master's, do I qualify for mechanical engineer from Kenya? Absolutely. Now, like everything else, coming here, studying here, doing everything, expensive. When you come in and you start and you pathway from your mind, you've already made up your decision. You're coming here, haujakuja kusoma, umekuja kupata permanent residency through the pathway of skill as a mechanical engineer. When you hit the ground, start contact Engineers Australia. I would recommend you contact them today if you can. Contact Engineers Australia, start your application to be in the as a registered engineer. It could be a student, a graduate, a professional, all of that, depending on your working experience and depending on your working experience, on your university thesis, your research, and all of that. So try to have a pathway to have your Engineers Australia approval. Without Engineers Australia approval, you will not be able to move ahead. So like how getting admission in Australia, you need IELTS, same thing. Without Engineers Australia, even you will not get the performance. Yeah, I think that is addressed. The next question is...
What I think you can take this on, they've direct messaged me as well.
Yes.
They're asking, if I take a full-time online master's course from Kenya with an Australian university, do I stand a chance to apply for work with Australian companies and come on work visa? If yes, would you advise we take online classes, which is cheaper if working in Aussie is assured after graduation?
No. Okay. This is not my professional advice. This is my personal opinion. My personal opinion is, if you're going to pay for an online course for 10,000, think about it. You're going to pay a course for 10,000. Living cost is zero since you're in Kenya, right? But you spend a whole year full time doing your online course. Yeah. You get your, say, a master's in whichever course. You're missing out 12 months of making money. You could pay that, and unless the thing, if you have the money to come in, pay the extra 10,000, but make another 20, 30,000 on top of that, because you'll be in the country. And secondly, you'll be working part-time, you'll be networking with people within your field and all of that. So I would recommend, if you can afford it, come and study here. But if you cannot afford it, that's okay. Do the online course in Kenya, then apply for work. The thing is, it's super hard to already get a sponsor when you're here. It will be super hard unless you're the top of your class, like you have something that is like very grand for a company to sponsor you when you're offshore. I've been in the country for 3 years. I literally have been going to job interviews in my industry as a mechanical engineer, as an aircraft engineer, and they will say you're the perfect candidate, but we cannot sponsor you. Like, we cannot give you a visa. They cannot sponsor the visa. So if you study well in Kenya with the hope of coming to work in Australia, bro, that's gonna be really tough. Unless you're studying while in Kenya an online course with the intention of making some savings and then move here and do another course. What's your take on that, Ngechi?
I'm with you on that one in terms of, with sponsorships, there's no guarantee. And the only way you can get a work visa is through a company sponsoring you. It's a gamble. You can choose for that. You can opt for that option, but know that it could take up to 10 years before a company can consider you. It's not the easiest option. It is not impossible. We're not saying it's impossible. We're just saying unless they really need you and they have no other option whatsoever within the country, then they will sponsor you. Right now, even for us, I'm with Wanja on that one. Most companies, first, if you're on a visa, they will ask you as part of the application process. You've not even been considered for the interview. while you're putting in your details for the application, they will ask you if you're looking for work sponsorship or not, because most companies are not going to give you. So if you are one of those who's looking for that work sponsorship, your application will probably not even be considered if you tick that you're looking for work sponsorship. So if you choose to work at home or study at home in the name of you will get a job, be assured that it is not as easy as putting in an application. It will take time. It will take a lot of skill. I know of people who've come to Australia through the option of work, but they are really working in the ins and ins. Like if you hear the kind of job they're doing, I know someone when I was in WA who came here, he was given a sponsorship, and that was maybe 7 years ago. It's not even recent. And when he came, he's also working as an engineer, but it's something to do with plants. Mining. I have no idea. No, plants. It's engineering, but there's plants involved. I don't know what exactly he does, but I just know he goes out to the field. There are plants that he assesses as part of his job. I don't know what he did. All I remember saying is, no wonder you were given sponsorship, because I have no idea what you're doing.
It's very unique.
It's very unique. So I think you would have to be doing a very unique course, or you must be very skilled that they cannot do without you. I would suggest, like Wanja said, come to Australia for your own sanity. And also remember, you can come here wanting to do a certain course, and you get here and you realize that there are actually other opportunities. You would be best suited in doing another course that is actually needed in the country. You can easily switch. Once you get your visa, no one is stopping you from moving careers and changing careers. But if you don't have that visa, you have to work with what you are providing to them. So you're not being forced to come here and do whatever course you're doing, but you have an open ground when you're on the ground here to play around and find what course can I do that will work for me to get my PR if this is not working for me. So don't close yourself in the name of it's cheaper to do your online course back in the country that you're in. It could be to your disadvantage, not an advantage.
Yes, just to emphasize, if you have saved enough to do an online master's course, be patient, save a couple of years, and come and study in Australia. It is so valuable for you to be on the ground, because we don't need different. Like this, how we think of it when you're out there. You come in, you realize the system is different, like the opportunities are different. And especially if you're doing a course and then you come into a university like Macquarie, they emphasize on networking. Every week we have people from the industry coming into the university to give talks. And just, it could be in one of those talks and they realize they actually need you. I encourage you guys to drop the questions that you have right now. In the next 6 minutes, we will not take any more questions that will not be already on the chat. So we'll just address the questions on the chat and then we'll wrap up. So the questions that are here.
Wanja, there's someone else who's direct messaged me, and I think this would also be good for you to answer. I have a diploma in human resource management and a diploma in business administration. I'm 34 years and have been working since 2011. Will I manage to get an Australian study visa? I have a gap year of 10 years though. Yeah. Though I did my CHRP professional exams. Yeah. So does age play a part? I think no. That's part of what they're asking.
Yes, sorry to interrupt earlier. There is a huge, how can I say, huge campaign on discrimination. And one of those discrimination is ageism. You cannot say no to anybody because of their age. I could be 70 years old and I'm applying to do a diploma or a certificate for, you cannot say no to me legally. So age doesn't matter, one. Secondly, you have done a diploma, you have over a decade of work experience. That person, please drop an email to ENB Consult. You're an ideal candidate for something that I have in mind. So if you have any working experience, regardless of whether you have done a diploma or a certificate or anything that is below undergrad, you can do a RPL. An RPL is something prior learning. It shows
recognition of prior learning.
Recognition, yes, recognition of prior learning. So whatever you have studied, whatever you worked in, the area you worked in, they could literally give you an advanced. You've done a diploma, they could give you an advanced diploma. You pay, you do an exam, and then you can apply for a graduate diploma. So if you apply for a graduate diploma, you come into the country, you do your graduate diploma for 1 year, and then soon after that, you can enter second year of undergraduate. So in 3 years, you have your bachelor's degree. Similar to any other person.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
In terms of age, because I know that with the PR, they have this thing about if you're a certain age, your points are either going up or you're losing points. Yes. So I know when you're in your early 25 and between 25 and 30, apparently is the prime time where you get good points for when you're applying for your not public relations, your PR. But then when you're over 30, your points start coming down. So how does it play up? At what age are you totally out, or what? Like I know I didn't know about the campaign, but what happens here?
Oh, wait. I'll go back and clarify. What I was saying here is admission to the university. This is not immigration status. So if you're immigrating to come here, to immigrate not on a student visa, but on a skilled or to get a permanent residency or all of that, that would be different. Now, today, you have I'm 34 years old. I come into the country, I do my graduate, say I have a diploma, I do advanced diploma, and then after 1 year, I do graduate diploma. Maybe some colleges will have them for 2 years, and then I do my bachelor's 2 years. So by the time I'm 39, say I get admission today. By the time I'm 39, I have my bachelor's degree plus 10 years of working experience. So that will be when you will lose point for your age, but for your working experience,
your skills. I see.
You have skills for 15 years, so it kind of balances out. So you at 39, you have your bachelor's. Okay, right away, immediately you finish your bachelor's. Don't take your temporary permanent residency. Do a master's right away. So you finish your master's with 10 years of working experience. My friends, you are like, everybody wants to work with you. You're good. Because the day you get into Australia, give yourself 6 months, get a job in HR. So you have 10 years working experience outside of Australia and 5 years working experience in Australia. So yes, definitely you have a pathway. If you want to consider the pathway, just contact us. It's quite exciting for me to hear like this kind of a story, because to be such a good story, to be a success story to tell, you know?
Yeah. Someone asked, so what if whatever you studied for wasn't your passion and would opt for a totally different field? Would the process be easy? FYI,
you've addressed that.
Whatever course, like I said earlier, whatever course you use to apply for your visa that will get you your visa doesn't mean that you have to stick in that course to the end. You can change, you can go. That's why we were encouraging the other person, come to Australia instead of studying from home, so that you can look at the options that are available, because the information you have when you're at home is as much as it can get. When you come on the ground and talk to other people and get to know what their experience looks like or what their field and pathway looks like, then you realize, oh, I'm actually not passionate about what I'm doing. I only used this as an option to get my visa. And now I have my student visa, I'm already in the country, I can change courses. You can actually change courses. You can, and if you change, even if you're, let's say 3 years down the line in whatever course you had chosen to do, and then you realize, no, that's not what you want to do. You want to change course to something else. You can still change course and you can still apply for a student visa that will sustain you until you finish the new course. The beauty about being on the ground is they won't chase you just that easily. You see, when you're not in the country, they can easily say no, and that's it. But when you're on the ground, when you're already in the country, your options are limited, are full. Like this pathway may not work for you, but you can find another pathway that will work for you. We usually say when you're in Australia, it's not over until it's over. If this pathway has not worked for me, I can change and do this other thing and it will work for me, or I can look for this option. And if this one doesn't work, I'll find this option. Because even when you're in the country, when they deny you a visa because of whatever reason, they will give you a certain time to choose another option that will work for you. So they'll tell you, you've not been granted this visa, but we give you 60 days or 30 days to exit the country or appeal or look for another option. So if you have a good agent or a good lawyer, they can tell you, okay, that path didn't work for you. We still have time. Let's put in an application for this. Once you put in an application for the next visa, they put you on what they call a bridging visa, and you remain in the country for the next number of times or years until they assess that application and decide to give you a visa or not. So what I'm pretty much trying to say is, if you're not passionate about something, don't die there. You can move and you will still be able to find something that will work for you. You have options when you're on the ground. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. Just a highlight. Anybody, we are not taking any more questions, so we just address the questions that are in the chat. Another question was, how much cash do I need to do a university degree in nursing? Which university are affordable? That's a very specific question in regards to which university you can do. I would recommend that you try and research that on your own, or you would contact us as like ENB and address that one-on-one. How much would it cost? I would say it's the same approximate cost for undergraduate degrees, which is approximately between 20 and 28,000 a year, plus another 20 for living costs. So I would say 48,000 a year. And then the next question was, what of jobs in construction field? Oh, that's so marketable. If you're in Sydney, there's constructions going on everywhere.
I don't think it's just Sydney, it's
trading,
everywhere in Australia.
It's everywhere. I would say in regards to how much money you're earning, if you're in construction, you're like at the top, followed by healthcare, social work, nursing,
driving,
and then
drivers.
And drivers. Yes.
In fact, men have such an advantage when it comes to that, because I know, and this is such a, when I heard this story, I remember thinking to myself, Australians are something else. This guy was a pastor at the church I used to go to in WA, and then he resigned from being a pastor and he went into driving. And I was like, why would anyone, just drop a career and go into driving? And me in my head, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to drive for, they drive, the trucks, you drive them for a long day, you sleep in some random places, whatever. But this guy gets $3,000 a week. Yes, $3,000 a week. I said even me would quit.
Oh,
yeah. So
guys, any guy in here, please come here and
please come and be a driver. Don't stress yourself. I don't know what criteria they use anyway to get their drivers, but I just remember thinking to myself, what? No wonder he resigned from church. Even I would resign, and he wanted to get married. So he had his priorities in order. He went and got money to do his wedding, Yeah, so anyway, construction is good. But
construction is such a good field. First of all, it's such a good field to get in. Second of all, it's such a good field to easily get bursaries because everybody wants it. Thirdly, because there are so many partners. I'll talk about Macquarie where I teach. There's so many partnership between construction related kind of companies with the universities. Therefore, there's a lot of funding coming from that industry, and therefore a lot of scholarship in regards to civil engineering, construction kind of thing. So it's one of those admirable courses to go for. One. Secondly, the other question you asked, well, how is the field for women? It's not hard. It's definitely hard because it's a physical job, but in regards to whether you or not you're gonna get a job, if you're a female, it's even better for you because so many companies are under pressure to have gender equality. So it depends at what period they are hiring, but in regards to getting a job because you're female, no, don't worry about that. It's not a problem. And then how is PATH in terms of living expenses, job experiences? Yes. How is PATH?
I will take that one. PATH is beautiful in terms of living compared to Sydney, in my opinion, because it's warm. It's full of oldies, so it's very chilled. It's not as fast-paced as what we have here in Sydney. In terms of living expenses, it's definitely cheaper than Sydney. I'm not sure how it is compared to Brisbane, because someone asked about Brisbane earlier. I'm not actually quite sure how it is compared to these other states, but in terms of with Sydney or Melbourne or Canberra, PATH is definitely a cheaper option. With regards to job experience, are you asking about job experience, or are you asking if there are jobs there? If you're asking if there are jobs, I would say there's plenty more opportunities outside of PATH. In Sydney, in Melbourne, they actually have more job opportunities compared to PATH. A lot of us, well, I didn't move because of work, but a lot of people finish their degrees and then they move to Sydney or Melbourne or Canberra because there are more opportunities there. So if you're looking at opportunities, it depends on what you're doing. I think you might get better options out here in terms of living, and in terms of if you're looking to settle, buy a house, whatnot, it's a better option because they're cheaper. Living expense is cheaper, and PATH is beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, but Sydney is also nice.
Yeah. And thank you so much for that, Ngechi. And then the other question is, when in Australia and applying for a job, is it there a specific template? Definitely, or a format for a CV to increase your job chances. It is not just in Australia. I would really recommend to research on your CV writing. If you're not confident in it, just pay someone a little bit. You invest 10,000 in someone writing up your CV like a professional online. I think we have a few contacts, ENB, we have a few contacts for CV and brushing up profiles and something like that. Please invest that, and I promise you, it's not going to be in vain because your CV will be kicked 1 star up. Yeah. And
you can also contact me. I do help people
with the CVs
now at a fee. But I do help people because I have a husband who's in recruitment, so he does the work.
Yes, exactly. Like contact someone like Miriam or Ngechi. I keep saying Ngechi, but
Ngechi is Miriam. My name too. It's just that I'm using on Zoom. I'm registered as Miriam, but both of them are my names, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, good. So yes, if you want to brush up your CV and you have save a little, save for 1 month, and then you pay someone who's going to brush up your CV and you look more professional. And then the other one is coming into Australia as a skilled worker a sure bet, or is it just a matter of luck? Truthfully, it's a matter of luck. It's closer to impossible than it is close to possible. I say this, having lived here for 3 years, skilled. I worked as an aircraft mechanic in Kenya. I taught in technical university for 2-3 years. I lived in England. I worked in China. I came here. I taught in the university for more than 3 years, and still I am not on a skilled permanent residency. So it is really hard, one. But on the other hand, it's all about luck. My friend, if God has said permanent residency on skilled labor ni yako. Akisema ni yako, hakuna mtu atasimama mbele yako.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
So it's more of grace, God's grace. And
someone direct messaged me and said, this is on a light note, do Kenyans socialize? I hear of Kenyan groups in foreign countries meeting and socializing on various days. Does that happen in Australia too? This is something, actually, I'm going to say this. I found in Perth, the Kenyan community in Perth was beautiful. It is a very different dynamic to what I'm seeing here in Sydney. In Perth, the Kenyan community, first there was a Kenyan church that had a Kenyan pastor, you know, with a lot of Kenyans. It was mostly Kalenjins. No offense to any Kalenjin here, but that church had mostly Kalenjins because a lot of the people from there came from the Kalenjin community in Kenya, or from, you know, I don't, is it Kalenjin? Yeah, Kalenjin is the tribe, yeah. So from Kalenjin community in Kenya. But the beauty about what they have done is they have somehow been able to grow that community to the level that it is right now, where they do, they even do, what do you call it? When boys, they circumcise young boys, like people have had kids here, instead of taking them back home, they're now even circumcising them from here. The community works well in terms of, I know there's a Kenyan circle. One day I should talk to you about it actually. There's a Kenyan circle that now is registered in Kenya, but the members are here in Australia, and it is purely for doing, you know, projects in Kenya, raising funds. You can borrow money, do your project, whatever you're doing it in Kenya, works in Kenyan terms, but it's being managed by members who are here in Australia, not anywhere else. And they even went through the KRA process, whatnot. Like, it's really grown. The community has really grown in terms of what they do for themselves, not just for individuals or small groups, but for the larger community. If you saw, there's a time, if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen, I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I shared this event that was happening where there's a Kenyan lady who passed on, and the way the Kenyan community rallied around doing a service for her here before she left, well, before her body was taken back to Kenya, the money that people raise, you know, like the husband was given up to 100,000, if I'm not wrong, in money that Kenyans have raised here. Just, or maybe not just Kenyans, could be even other non-Kenyans, but the community aspect of it was so beautiful to see. I find Perth really has embraced the community culture, and they're doing very well. When I came to Sydney, on the other hand, I was like, what's going on? Where are all the Kenyans? What's happening? And I was like, I was being told, oh, you know, there's this group, there's that group, there's this group. It wasn't very integrated, which is a very sad thing. So to answer your question, James, the Kenyan community here in Australia still works. Some states have it doing so much better compared to others. Like I've said, in Perth, it looks like it's a better option. Nonetheless, even here in Sydney, I have met many Kenyans through different functions, and I know that there's that community thing. It may not be as big as what I've seen in Perth, but it is existing. And yes, it happens here in Australia too. So yeah.
Yeah, I have a comment on that. I think different cities have different dynamics with the Kenyans that are in that place because of lifestyle differences.
Yeah.
In Sydney, everybody is focused on making money. Let's just say everybody is just like, you call someone, you're like, hey, can we have dinner tonight? I mean, niko shift. Niko na shift leo. Like, I've been trying to find my friends. We live 5 blocks from each other. It's not far. As in, if I run around their block. Every time I'm like, hey, bro, let's catch up for a coffee. I'm like, I have a shift. I only have 5 hours of sleep, and I'd rather sleep than go meet you for a coffee. Like, I'm sorry. So but if you look at Perth is more of a chilled, there's more relaxing time. In Brisbane is the same. It's more relaxing time. But I feel in Sydney, it's very fast paced. So people don't have a lot of time to socialize. I think it could be more of a choice, but I feel it's a lifestyle here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that makes sense. Not that in Perth people don't work, but I think the expenses here just cannot
too high.
afford
You can't risk it.
To do so many things.
Yes. So we will wind up, and I'll just take the last question. It was just dropped in at 7:30. We stopped taking at 7:20, but I'll just do this one. I'm actually a long distance truck driver in Kenya. I advise on any cheap master's course I can do. Then after graduating, I look for truck driving jobs. Master's education is just a getaway into Australia, or is there a company sponsoring truck drivers from offshore? Generally speaking, I have no idea regarding truck driving jobs. Do you have any feedback on that?
No, it is something, unless I research on it, I've not heard of even a course. I would say the same way we encourage the other person, go to that IMMI, IMI.gov.au.
Or just Google Immigration Australia.
Yeah, and go there and just check and see if there's a course that you can do that will allow you to go into truck driving. I don't know personally as well, but I don't know if you have to wait until you graduate for you to start working as a truck driver once you come here. I think you can. Yeah, I don't think you have to wait till graduation, but I don't know if there's a course for that. You'd have to check for yourself. I'm sorry.
Okay. In regards to what courses you can do, we need to look at your CV, know what courses you've done before. So I encourage you to drop us an email if you're serious. If you're serious that you really want to come to Australia and you really want to come and study here, just drop us an email at info@ENB Consult. You know our website. Yes, drop us an email and then we'll look at it personal, like individually directed for you. Other than that, thank you so much, guys, for waiting patiently. 15 people, 14 people, you sat here, you listened to our stories, you engaged, you asked us questions. We really appreciate this kind of engagement. It's the first webinar I think we've done this year. Okay, I'll drop the details here for me. And also, Ngechi, maybe you kindly share your business email address so that if someone needs don't say 1 second, excuse me, just 1 second.
We've got dinner soon.
Okay, I'll be out. I'm winding up. 10 minutes. Sorry for that, guys. So yeah. I would drop my details, and Ngechi is gonna do the same for her business. Also for her socials, she has a YouTube channel, and I encourage you guys, if you want to come to Australia, you have to watch her YouTube channel. There's so many resourceful videos there, even how to get a driver's license.
Thank you. I've just put in the link to the immigration website that we've been talking about. Oh shoot, I direct message it to one person. Oh, sorry, let me put it to everyone. Here you are. Yeah, go on that page and look at the skills that they are looking for in comparison to what you want to do. And yeah, see how it goes in terms of looking for skills.
Please also drop your YouTube channel link and your IG, because you're interacting also in IG. It's Kenyan in Australia.
Yeah, I've put my IG page there. My YouTube channel is not very active. I put videos there once in a blue moon. I'm more active on Instagram, so that's where I do most of my stuff. So you can reach me at there. Yeah.
Perfect. So we thank you so much, guys, and for showing up. Maybe we will leave a part where you can do a comment if you found this resourceful, if you can be able to go to our Facebook page, under the poster, just say you attended it, what you think if it was resourceful or not, what is something that you want us to change. If you could give us any sort of feedback, we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. And thank you so much, Ngechi, for your time, for your sharing your story, your openness. It's so resourceful and we value it. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you too for this opportunity. And you guys have been amazing. The questions, I was like, wow, it's, like you said, you can talk, and if no one asks the questions or says anything, it's like, it should be a waste of time, or it should feel like we wasted time. But we truly appreciate the engagement. I think that's the cherry on the cake, just having that engagement with you guys. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome very much. All right, Miss Mospat, I hope you will be able to share the recording. Yes, we'll share the recording and you can be able to follow up there. No worries. All right, then. Thank you, guys. I'm going to go for dinner. I just had dinner is served, so I'm going to go and have dinner. Have a lovely evening. Ngechi, let's catch up
Saturday.
soon.
Yeah.
Happy Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. I'll be working.
All right.
No,
bye.
I will not. I'll be in the Blue Mountains.
No working. Please enjoy yourself.
I will.
See you
From
guys.
you and me. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.